Hi everybody, it's Laura. Thank you so much for joining me on my channel. Today I have a layout that I made for Stretch the Sketch. In Stretch the Sketch, we take a sketch that's intended for a 12 by 12 inch layout and we either stretch it to a larger format or we shrink it to a smaller one. For quite a while now, I've been shrinking my sketch because I've been working on some 6 by 8 inch albums, and today I'm making another layout for one of those albums. As you may have guessed, this is a Christmas themed layout. I'm using some papers from the Pink Paislee Together for Christmas collection and also the My Mind's Eye Comfort and Joy collection. The red plaid paper, that's from the Comfort and Joy collection, and the other papers are from the 6 by 8 inch Pink Paislee pad. I'm using my favorite tools, which are my Creative Memories circle cutters, and I cut a circle, not a full circle, but a partial circle into the red plaid paper. And then I decided to put a mat of the wood grain paper behind it. And then I'm also going to use that really pretty poinsettia paper behind all of the circles. I'm inking the edges of those openings so that there'll be a little bit more contrast between the different layers of paper. I'm using some Distress ink in Vintage Photo. And now I'm going to layer them together. I'm using ATG adhesive to attach all of them together. The photo that I'm using was taken at my sister's house on Easter. Unfortunately, that year we weren't able to celebrate Christmas. We had some family members that had COVID, and we kept trying to get together on another weekend before Easter, but we just couldn't get everybody together. So we ended up celebrating both Easter and Christmas on the same day. And we have our little Santa hats on, even though it's spring and Christmas has long been forgotten, I guess, by most, but we love Christmas. Especially Christmas Eve at my sister's house is a holiday everybody looks forward to. So we just couldn't go another year without having it because, of course, with COVID, that was one year that we didn't celebrate it. So it was a really wonderful day, and we were able to do all of the Christmas things, even though it was Easter. I have all of those pattern papers mounted on some white cardstock. Something about that I didn't really like, though, but I decided to just leave it for now. And then I mounted or matted my photo on the same wood grain paper that I used to make that small mat going all the way around the circle. Then I distressed the edges of the mat with my scissors, something I shouldn't do, but I keep doing. And then I used some Distress ink in Vintage Photo to ink the edges of the mat. So I wanted to mat the photo again, and I thought I could use this dotted piece of paper that's from the My Mind's Eye collection. And I placed it on the back of the photo, but once again, I wasn't super crazy about it. And I finally decided that I had to figure out what I wanted to do with the layout before I continued, because once you add all the embellishments, it's really hard to start changing things up. So I found that in the Pink Paislee collection, there was this really pretty green paper, and I thought that this would probably be a better background than the white cardstock. I just thought it was too white and it just stood out too much. So I used the Distress ink again. I inked the edges of the whole layout, and then I mounted it on that piece of green paper. And I like this a lot better. I just think that it's a little bit more subtle. And then I was considering how the black paper looked around the photo, and I decided that I was going to switch that out for the green paper as well. Sometimes I just have to see something before I can decide whether or not I like it, and not just see it, but see it for a little while, and then it becomes clear to me what makes more sense. So I think that all of these colors go together a little bit better than with the white around the edge and the black mat. I was happy with this now, and I could finally attach the photo down and move on to the embellishments. So I grabbed a bunch of the embellishments. These embellishments were from the Pink Paislee collection. There were a number of die cuts that I wanted to include on the layout. You could see that my layout looks a lot like the sketch, even though I decided not to put banners in the upper right-hand corner just because I didn't think there was enough room on this layout to accommodate banners and an embellishment on top of it. And I decided instead to go with the pine cone in the upper right-hand corner. I didn't want to have that white center in the pine cone embellishment, so I used my fussy cutting scissors and I cut that out. For the embellishment for the bottom of the layout, I chose a pine branch, and then I really love this rather large embellishment that has the bird on the branch that I'm placing on the layout right now. Even though it's kind of large for a layout of this size, I think that it works in that area. And I think that because I used a rather large embellishment on the bottom of the layout too, they kind of balance each other out. I forgot to mention that this sketch is by April Ann Bishop Barrett, and it was created for 30 Days of Sketches, which I haven't been able to take part in recently. I am just not able to create 30 sketches and 30 videos with my schedule these days, but I do really love 30 Days of Sketches, and even if I'm only able to participate for this one day, I'm happy to do that. Hopefully when I retire a few years from now, I'll be able to go back to do all of the hops that I love so much. For the title, I'm using this sticker. This is, again, from the Pink Paislee collection. It says together, and that is perfect for this layout because the theme of this layout is having my whole family together. I have some journaling to go along with this page, and that's the theme of what I wrote for the journaling. I wasn't sure if this gold title was going to show up on this very busy layout, so I thought that if I used a white paint pen and added some accents, that it might show up a little bit more. I used the paint pen and I liked the way it looked. I also added some white accents on the little gold dots that I placed around the layout. But then I was thinking that I might make the white a little bit whiter by adding another layer, and that did work. And then I was thinking that there was a little bit too much of a white border around that pine cone embellishment, so I just fussy cut away just a little bit of the white border. I didn't want to cut it all off because I really like the way the white makes the pine cone stand out on the page. I love to add photo corners, so I used one of the branding strips. It was a dark blue, which I liked because there's some blue in the embellishment that's over the photo, but nowhere else on the page. So I thought that this was a good color to use for photo corners. I inked all the photo corners again with the Vintage Photo Distress ink. With certain layouts that I make, I just feel compelled to add stitching, and this is one of those layouts. I just thought it would look a lot better if there was some stitching going around that circle. I thought that it would highlight the circle a little bit more and make the layout read a little bit better. So I am using my little punching tool here, and I'm punching some holes all around the circle. I'm using this little Amy Tangerine mat that I have really beaten up over the years, but it still works. And then I used some white embroidery thread and I did a simple back stitch all around the outside of the circle. On one hand, I think that it's always easier to add stitching before you start adding all the embellishments to the layout. But on this particular layout, I didn't think of it till later, and it actually did save me a couple of stitches because I didn't have to put stitches in areas that I knew you wouldn't be able to see them. As a final touch, I added some gold dots to the photo corners, and I also added one to the pine cone, and this layout is complete, and here are just a couple of close-ups. Please don't forget to take a look in the description box where you'll find the playlist for all of the videos for all of the scrapbookers taking part in the Stretch the Sketch hop this month. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I hope to see you again soon. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.